when you are. In 3, 2, 1.
Wait for it. We are live.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Launch No Code podcast. My name's Natalie. I'll be your host today, and today I'm joined with Sharath, co-founder of Shoutout. Unfortunately, today, Curtis didn't manage to make it into the room, but he might be here later to have a chat with us if he manages to drop in. Hi, Sharath. How are you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Super excited to talk to you about no code, our experience, and how I did shout out and everything. So excited to be.
Amazing. So what I've been doing is having a discussion with lots of no-code founders, whether those be tools for no-coders or people who are actually building their platforms using no-code tools. And the first thing I always ask everybody is, how did you find the no-code space? What is it that brought you into the community?
Yeah, it's a long story. Around, I think, 2018, October-ish time, I always wanted to, be a builder. I come from product background. I couldn't build apps because I don't know how to code. I'm non-technical. And but I think around 2018 October, Ben Tossell started this thing called Nocode. Now it was MakerPad and it's acquired, but it was back then. And at that time, I reading this book called Atomic Habits by James Clear, and I'm completely fascinated by it. And James Clear said that you need to do a promise for yourself to make a habit. So sort of like intention implementation. So I actually bought, Nocode out of nowhere, the whole annual subscription, and that's how I found no code. The first I personally saw is called Follow Friday. I don't know if you guys know that it used to be number one. It used to be number one product of the day when back then. Basically, what it does is it suggests Twitter people to follow every Friday. Every Friday, they actually add a new set of people who are active, who are giving value to others and more. So me, I used to be a lurker on Product Hunt, and I used to like go through these tools, and I found Follow Friday, and I'm like fascinated by the fact that it was actually built on Airtable and uses this tool called Table to Site, and that was the first tool I came across, and the rest is history. I never went back. So
Amazing. And did you build something with tools to site yourself?
yes. So Table to Site. Once I started, interacting with the new community, uh, I promised myself that what, I actually have to ship something, and I challenged myself, can I do that in less than a month? So I picked Airtable and Table to Site and started actually, like, I was actually curious to looking for tools. What else are there? What else are there? Then I gathered like a bunch of tools, like more than 20 or 30, and I used to like go to internet and like literally Google it or Product Hunt, basically like do manual stuff. So that's when I got this idea of, hey, what if I built a platform where people can actually find new tools? Because it's basically a problem I had back then. That's how Tools for Makers was born, and Table at the same time, Table to Site to build it. I took 2 to 3 weeks in to do my research, and I launched with, I think, around 200 tools, I guess, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, I launched on Product Hunt. It went to becoming the third product of the day, and yeah, it was a wild ride back then.
Amazing. And what year was that you did that?
This was around 2018 October.
Wow. And is that site still live? Can makers still look for tools on it?
Yeah, It is live. Go see. Go hit toolsformakers.com. It's still live. It's still. I think I stopped adding new tools, but it has more than I think 500 tools. So people can find like different categories like design, uh, you know, QA tools, no code tools, and tools built by women. There are like so many categories, automation tools, so on and so forth. So
Amazing. And that was using Airtable. Is Airtable something that you've used a lot? Have you used it in other projects?
yeah, after that was using Airtable, but after that, most of my projects, Airtable is one of the tool I keep close to my heart. We use Airtable to keep track of how many people are joining, using Shoutout and whatnot. So yeah, after that, almost all projects are I've used Airtable very frequently after that.
Awesome. Well, Shoutout is what you're known most for. And I imagine that quite a lot of our listeners will be thinking about how on earth did you come up with such an amazing idea? How did you build it and how did you launch it? And I think I'd really like to explore that a little bit more depth, because there's very few people who have really gone through that whole cycle so successfully, and you guys really have. So first of all, the idea, where did it come from?
Yeah. Again, I think all of my ideas come from within, and I suggest people to do the same. So if you solve your own problem, you have that motivation to pursue it, and you'll be your first user. So that is exactly what I did with all my projects, and exactly what I did with Shoutout as well. And I'm very active on Twitter, and I get quite a few shoutouts. I used to bookmark these individually and never went back at them, go through them. So that's when KP, one of my good friend, he gave me a shout 31st. I precisely remember the dates as well because it's so memorable for me. He gave me a shout out with a bunch of others, and naturally I bookmarked it. But while I was bookmarking, I got this idea that, hey, what if all my shout outs are under one place? It would be cool to see them. There is no agenda whatsoever, but just that one simple idea came to my mind, and I immediately called KP and said, KP, this is the idea. What do you think? He was like screaming over the top of the roof and saying that you're sitting on something really amazing. Go ship it, pursue it. So he pushed me a lot. I was casually ideating with him, but he pushed me. And the next less than 24 hours after that, I shipped the landing page. So I got around 120 signups on day one, and I got tremendous amount of support from the community. They all were hyped up. They wanted this platform for them. So that's my initial validation. And yeah, I started building the MVP. I thought about the user loop, uh, what is there for the user, how to close the loop, how to get the output, what is the input and whatnot. So yeah, I took around 2 to 3 weeks of sweet time to build the first MVP and gave it to a bunch of friends. I used to attend this mastermind session called 0 to 1. Whit Anderson is one of them. KP used to lead it. But yeah, we used to hang out every Friday, and so I gave it to a bunch of people, Ash, Edmund, KP, Whit. A bunch of people used it, and they all asked for more features. You know what? So the MVP was literally doing manual job. It's not automated or anything. I just used Twitter API, used Twitter's preview.twitter.com to get the embeds and put it on bubble site. But yeah, they validated, and that's when I realized, you know what, I need to scale this thing quick, because I always believe that momentum is the oxygen for any startup. So if you lose it, that's it. People will forget. And I literally tasted that, throughout my journey with Shoutout. So that's when I went on Twitter and put a bad signal for a technical co-founder. And
Amazing.
actually 16 people approached me from, different parts of the world. Like they're ex-Amazon, some of them are working at Microsoft. But I met Cummings, and in our first ever meeting, we clicked. We both had that innate curiosity to solve this problem, and we both wanted to become founders, and we're driven by that. And yeah, I think the first time I met him, we were just jamming these ideas, like how we can scale this thing to the next level. So I think around
Great.
November 8th, I guess he joined. I sort of announced it. But yeah, that's the
Yeah.
first phase of Shoutout.
Before we talk about the growth, what I'd like to do is pull it right back to the beginning, sort of delve a little bit deeper into some of those points there. So you mentioned that you launched your first landing
Sure.
page. What did you launch that landing page on?
Card.co. I always am a big fan of AJ. He is, Card is an amazing platform. Go check it out. All of my landing pages are now on Card. Even my personal website is built on Card. So and I used MailerLite to gather the signups.
Yeah, I have the same. I have a Card and MailerLite stack as well. Okay, so that's cool. And then I suppose you started sort of building out the MVP. What did that stack look like? Because I heard the word bubble, I heard the word APIs and things like that. So let's talk a little bit more about the MVP. So how did you
Sure.
choose the tools? And talk to me a little bit more about that.
Yeah. I used Bubble before. I actually shipped this simple side project called hottakes.app. It was not live, it was just me messing around with Bubble and learning about like how to build a platform. So I instantly knew that Bubble is the right platform because it has workflows, it has its own database, and they have plugins, they have templates, so on and so forth. So Bubble caught my eye initially, and I went with it, without any doubt. I used Bubble, and for login, I didn't use like a sign up traditional login. I wanted to be one step login. So I used Twitter, and to get the embeds and whatnot, same thing. Use Twitter API. I think V1, I guess. But yeah, I've read a ton of documentation, and a lot of people helped me in the way. Joe Brown, shout out to him, and this other guy, Gary Scott, shout out to him. Both of them helped a lot in the Bubble MVP phase.
Yeah, so I think it's really important to highlight that, you started with quite basic tools, and then sort of as you sort of grew and as the complexity of your project grew, you chose more complicated tools, and then you sort of very quickly realized your own limitations and reached out to the community and asked for help, which, I would encourage everybody in the no-code community to do, because experienced no-code makers are so up for helping new no-code makers. It's a great community. And then when you wanted to take it to the next level, you're like, okay, we need a technical founder on board. How can we take it to that next level? And that's when you met Curtis. And that's great. And so what did Curtis bring to the team? So talk to me a little bit about how, when you were working together, what sort of ideas did you have? What sort of ideas did he have? And how did that sort of link together?
Curtis brings a lot to the table. I can't explain, he brings, I think you guys can see the tangible things like the product, design and whatnot. But I think more than that, he's a compassionate person, and he's all about execution. Like ideas are good, but we both believe that when it comes to execution, we prefer execution more than the fancy ideas. So he and we instantly clicked. I think the first version is just showing shoutouts under one place, but he actually brought up this inbox type of mechanism right now the V2 of Shoutout is that, where you see inboxes like curated mentions, and he actually wrote the algorithm to separate uh, high signal tweets versus low noisy tweets, which are just replies. So he brings a lot to the table, not from just the technical side. Like I said, we both discuss marketing ideas. We both jam a lot about like how do we provide value to people.
Yeah, sure. And I think we're seeing a lot of these kind of trends coming up where we're suggesting that maybe businesses start building out their MVPs or their first versions completely no code, and then moving towards that kind of low code into code so they can start becoming more innovative, because you've proved the idea, you've got the customer traction, and then you're sort of starting to develop. And so I suppose the next stage is monetization. Like, how did you decide how to monetize? How did you choose the price points? And, talk to me a bit about pricing.
Yeah. So when Curtis came on board, what we intentionally did was to launch it private beta to basically understand what people want instead of us assuming this is what they want. So that's why we shipped something very basic. It was scrappy, it was dirty, it was like not elegant a lot. But we did that around December, and after like 4 weeks to 6 weeks, we onboarded people. So we onboarded Jack Butcher, Julian Shapiro, so many startups like On Deck, Noble, et cetera, et cetera. So that built momentum, a lot of hype, and we were quickly growing from 800 to 1,000 people like on the wait list. That's the tipping point. We understand, we sort of like, it's sort of like a signal for us to go, public with pricing, or else like, by then it almost took 3 months already. So people might forget. So we instantly like, iterated on top of the feedback, what we got from the private beta, and moved it to pricing. Yeah, pricing is a little tricky. We went ahead with, we did a lot of research with, compared to other SaaS tools, especially Twitter-based SaaS tools like HypeFury, Buffer, so on and so forth. And we felt like $15 per month is more accurate because we're selling it to creators and startups who are, doing a lot of business online, right? So, and we thought if a writer who's selling a book worth of $30 and have social proof on his site, and he gets converted, somewhere around 10 users, basically he actually already got the value he gave to us. Basically, so that's when we felt like $15 is is an apt price. And yeah, we definitely talked with Arvid Kaul, shout out to him. He helped us figuring out the pricing. KP, helped us figuring out the pricing. Drew Riley. So all these folks were, we consulted with them and made a conscious choice.
Awesome. So you actually had lots of customers waiting before you sort of focus on. So you actually built the demand before you necessarily had the product ready to ship. And I think that's a very important lesson to sort of share with everybody, is that, demand is key. If nobody wants to use your product, it doesn't matter how good your product really is. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, it is. It is essential. I feel, I would say make it short. That's one thing I would go back and redo again, because September is when we launched the landing page and we went to public around February. So it's almost like October, December, November, January, like 4 months. So that's way too long. So for whatever reason, it happened for us, but I would say, make it short, make it like 1 or 2 months, and then open it up. It actually builds a lot of hype. And the other thing I'd like to mention is, with the private beta launch, these users make it more product virality fit. Find that product virality fit as well, because as we talk to these private beta users, they used to talk about Shoutout openly. So that actually created a lot of excitement for others. So having waitlists and, like you said, demand is really it helped a lot when we launched it to public around like February 2nd week. So.
Yeah, I mean, another great example of that kind of thing is like Clubhouse. They did virality amazingly well in terms of, inviting small groups of people in, invite only, creating lots of FOMO. And, I think I was on the beta of your platform, but I didn't get in as early as other people. And I had FOMO, I'm not going to lie. And it was great. When I got on there, I'm like, well, I really want to use this now because I'm not the first adopter and I like to be the first adopter of something. So yeah,
Nice.
great lessons there. So I suppose now I'm going to move on a little bit, rather than your project per se, as a no code maker, apart from, of course, your own product, what other tools are you using at the minute? What are you enjoying building with?
Actually, I'm not building not a lot these days, since we moved completely to a code platform, but I still keep no-code tools close to my heart. We still use Webflow, we use Integromat for automations, and what else we use? Card per se is one of the example, but even the landing page right now is fully coded. We moved from from Card, but yeah,
so
I
have
think
you had to go
Pori.io
on
is
quite
one
a
thing
large...
I'm actually working on.
Yeah, I was going to
Sorry,
say, have you had to go on quite a large learning curve yourself in the coding world? I mean, did you know any code before, or have you had to learn like a whole new stack of databases and software solutions that you'd never used before?
No, I think I'm still non-technical. I didn't learn any code. It's Curtis who's doing everything. He's the technical person behind Shoutout. Yes, I think no code requires a learning curve, and I went from, like you said, table to site, just messing around with UI/databases to building workflows, managing databases, and messing around with APIs. So that's the spectrum I went from one end to other end. But I think for me right now, I'm actually messing around with Pori.io. Building the simple site. Yeah, Pori is really good. It's sort of like an advanced version of table to site, and I love them.
Great. And what are you building on that at the minute? Is there anything you can share, or just fun?
Not at this moment. Yeah, just fun. It's an internal idea of mine. I read a lot of Paul Graham's essays, and I put all of them under one place just for myself. So that's the very simple idea I'm working on.
Great. So I think, it's been great chatting with you today, and I've really enjoyed learning about, how you founded your company, how you found your co-founder, and kind of your growth and your marketing and your approach to marketing. So I think it's going to be a really nice place to end the podcast there. And I want to thank you for your time, Sharath. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. It is good to talk to you and, spread what I've learned from my no-code journey to everyone.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Right. So everybody who is on the live stream, that is the end of the podcast interview with myself and Sharath. So now it is over to you, the audience. Now you have the opportunity to ask any questions that you would like to Sharath. And if there are any sort of dry patches and people don't manage to get their questions in, I still have quite a lot of questions that I want to ask him as well. So, but please do get your questions in. So, first question. How do you guys keep track of your progress at Shoutout? How are you sort of keeping track of your analytics, your monthly revenue? Like, what are you using for your analytics?
Yeah, we use Linear to basically manage the whole product. Like, Linear is you can build boards. it has feature boards, and we have like a path from backlog to do to in progress and done. So that's where we keep the product things, feature lists in place. In terms of what was the other question?
So revenue growth and business growth as a company, how do you keep track of that?
Revenue, we use Paddle, so we keep track of how many people are subscribing and whatnot. And Amplitude is where we track people, like how much people are spending on Shoutout, like analytics on the platform per se, but as well as we use Plausible for the website. We see how much traffic we're hitting every month, or basically every week, and versus every day. So that's our behind the marketing stack.
Great. So I have a question, and it might touch on your previous tool, but is there any places now to see tool reviews to know which ones are better for specific things? Is there anything that you know about, Sharath?
I used to go to G2 Crowd to read the reviews about tools, but I think it's too B2B specific. But yeah, G2 Crowd is a good place. And I think Product Hunt is a very good place, to be honest, because you now and then find authentic people commenting on, tools, providing support, and their 2 cents, right? So I would go see, not per se reviews, but just read the comments and what people thinking about this new trend. Let's say OpenAI is a new trend. Let's say if someone ships something on OpenAI, I'm curious to know what other people think about it. So Product Hunt is good to read reviews.
Great. And that was Jay Tellers that asked those questions. So thank you so much, Jay Tellers. So I don't know if you know as well, I've actually partnered with that dude, Dennis, to we're building a product called Minimal Viable Stack. And we're sort of on a bit of a mission to help founders find the minimum viable stack to build their MVP. So the easiest, simplest, fastest way to get something launched. Nice. I mean, I'm interested to hear what you think about that idea.
It is. I think it's wonderful.
Awesome.
That you're doing, because it'll help new, beginners who are new to Nocode quickly get their stack and start building things.
And how did you find out about tools like in the early days? Was it just a case of Googling, how do I build this with this? Or was it more because you were in communities and other people had built stuff before? Was it word of mouth? So what percentage was sort of searching online and research, and what was by it?
I think 70 to 80% goes to community. Since I was very active in the Product Hunt community, especially back then, I used to going to Product Hunt is one of my daily habits. So I have to check that. So I used to go every single day, spend around like 30 to 40 minutes. That's how I identified these tools. And like I said, with the mastermind, we meet every Friday. We used to meet every Friday, and we used to bring these tools. One of the things is we need to bring new tools and suggest to others. So we had a big Airtable database of finding these new tools and why they are important and whatnot. So when I say search, that's what I meant. I didn't mean like I searched in Google throughout the internet. I was more, in Product Hunt. Indie hackers community is amazing. Twitter in general is amazing. So the maker community right there helped me figure out these tools.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's like when searching for anything, I think the average person, the place they are used to looking for things is Google. And I think it's tricky because you have to learn how to search for tools in the no-code world. So first of all, you have to identify the places that are searchable, and then you need to understand how to search within those places, and then you can find the tools and the people and then build those communities. So I think sometimes we make it sound really simple, that it's just a case of searching, when actually there is strategy behind the search when you want to find these things.
True. Agree. Totally agree with you.
Awesome. Well, that is the end of our question time today. I'd like to thank everybody who sent in their questions. Thank you so much for tuning into the live stream. And thank you, Sharath, for spending the last hour with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Natalie. Good to talk to you. You know, I've been meaning to before, but now that it happened, I'm so glad to have talk to you.
Awesome. And yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. And I look forward to more chats about more products and more launches. So goodbye for now and goodbye, everybody.
Catch you on Twitter. See ya.
See you. Bye-bye.